They say the loudest voices get heard, but what happens to the ones who can't speak at all? What if your story was buried inside you, and the world never cared to listen? This is about a boy who had no voice, but refused to stay silent. He was 21, a delivery boy in New York City. No voice, no parents, no real home, just a beat-up bicycle, an old phone with a cracked screen, and a worn-out backpack filled with deliveries that didn't pay enough to eat right. He had no name on the streets. People called him the Mute Rider. They laughed, shouted, mocked, but he never responded. He couldn't. Born without a voice box, he'd spent his whole life in silence, foster home to foster home, school to school, ignored, forgotten, invisible. While other kids played and talked and shouted, he drew sketches, notes, thoughts, every emotion he couldn't say. He wrote it in his tiny pocket notebook, but no one read it. No one cared. He delivered meals to homes filled with warmth, laughter, and light, then returned to a shared apartment with broken heaters and even more broken dreams. Night after night, he pedaled. Through rain, through snow, through aching legs and an empty stomach. Not for dreams, not for purpose, just to survive one more day. One night, after a long shift, he opened his notebook. He stared at a single line he had written weeks ago. I have something to say, but no one listens. And for the first time, even his pen shook. That night, he cried alone in a stairwell, not because of hunger, but because he believed, truly believed, he was meant for nothing. But life has a strange way of planting seeds in the darkest soil, and sometimes rock bottom is just the ground where you finally stand up. It happened on a random Tuesday. He delivered food to a cozy apartment uptown. The man at the door looked familiar, a motivational speaker he'd seen in YouTube clips at the library. The speaker noticed his eyes, sad, intense. He signed thank you with his hands. But the delivery boy didn't just nod. He handed him a note. I liked your last video. The story about fear. The speaker paused, then smiled. And for the first time in years, someone said something he hadn't heard in forever. What's your story? He didn't answer with words. He pulled out his notebook and handed it over. That night, the speaker read it, and the next morning, he posted a picture of that notebook's first page on Instagram. This kid has no voice, but he writes like a thunderstorm. It went viral, but it wasn't a fairy tale. Fame didn't come overnight. The boy was terrified. He almost ran, deleted everything, threw the notebook away. But something kept him going. One DM, then 10, then hundreds. People were asking him to write more, so he did. On library computers, on old scraps of paper. He started a blog, wrote in sign language videos, told stories, not with sound but with soul. And slowly, the silence began to break. 2 years later, that same delivery boy stood on stage, not to speak, but to sign. His short film, based on his blog, had just premiered. It was called I Hear You. The crowd clapped, some cried, but he didn't smile for the applause. He smiled because he finally felt heard. He never got his voice back, but he found something louder than words: purpose. He now mentors young creators with disabilities, helps them tell their stories, teaches them that silence isn't weakness, it's just a canvas waiting to be filled.
If you've ever felt invisible, like your voice doesn't matter, let this story be your reminder. You don't need a voice to be powerful, you just need the courage to be honest. Type, I'll speak through my story in the comments if this lit something in you. And if you're ready for more, what's waiting on your screen right now? That's your next step. See you there.